Hello, all. Cindy here. I just had a fabulous conversation with my astrologer friend, Olga Miller, where we were discussing what's currently happening with our planets and luminaries at this time. I am going to share with you a recap of our conversation where Olga discusses the current Mercury retrograde, along with that Saturn Uranus opposition that people have been talking about, the upcoming new moon, and also the upcoming solar eclipse. So hopefully this information will be useful to you in helping you navigate whatever transitions or shifts or changes that you are going through at this time. I hope you enjoy. So then if you could just do, Olga, like a quick just recap of some of
Yeah.
those. Okay, so you said, so Mercury's in retrograde right now, and
So
it'll
Mercury
be in
is
retrograde until what?
um, until the 2nd of October.
And
So
so most of us understand Mercury retrograde, be more sensitive to communication,
yes,
um, that double check everything, your emails, don't make, usually I always say, don't make assumptions that someone's going to understand, like overly communicate more than underly communicate for sure.
that's right.
So those are some of the things to
Double
consider with
check, right?
Mercury.
Double check.
Yes,
And then
double check.
we have Mars retrograde. It's going on the 30th of October, and it's going to go direct on January 12th. So I would
So
say during
that'll
that
last,
time,
so that'll last October, so it'll last all winter pretty much through the fall and the winter time where Mars will be in retrograde.
Gemini, it's all in
And so,
Gemini house.
with Mars, then you have to, you may not have, because I know Mars also influences your drive too.
That's
So
right.
you might have less energy. You're saying less energy, or perhaps less drive during that time to do certain things, but then also be careful with you might not want to be extra risk taking right now,
No
or when
risk
it goes
taking
into retrograde, right?
exercise. That's right. And also don't do any elective surgeries or try to avoid them because you don't want to redo them later or
Surgeries,
elective ones. Like if it's a
elective surgery.
necessary one, it's fine. If it's like elective, I would say even like a plastic surgery somebody's going to, I would say do not go for those. You can just wait a little. You tend to do things twice, or you may not be as happy with the result at the end. And this is something you don't want to, you don't want to risk, especially something that's like a surgery. I would say do not go and buy a luxury car or like an expensive car without a really good warranty, just because Mars also rules machinery. So you
Okay.
never know what that car is going to be like. It doesn't hurt to be careful, right?
Okay.
Then we're gonna finalize the square between Saturn and Uranus. It's gonna go all the way through, I believe it's all the way through October, where we're gonna feel that, and it's gonna leave that square, and it's gonna separate for quite a long time after that.
So during that time, so you said it's going to go all the way through October where they're square.
Yeah, it's
So
wrapping up of the
you just
events
might feel that tension between the
where you
Saturn,
have
who
Taurus
likes
place
everything
and
orderly, and
Aquarius.
Uranus, who's the rebel. They're going
Yes,
to be like this.
for a little while. It's
And
a tension, right? It's a creative tension, but it's
yeah,
finalizing. So I think whatever the major themes were, you probably already made decision on them back in December and June of last year. And right now it's just wrapping up. And this is
okay.
the final connection that they're making, because what happens after they start moving, it's going to be more of a positive aspect for a little while, like especially like once
Mm-hmm.
Saturn moves into Pisces has a sextile, which is a positive going energy. It has the nature of Venus, right, between Taurus and Pisces, so it's going to be a little bit easier transit. But when they're in a square in opposition, those are usually more challenging ones.
Okay.
I call it creative tension because you have to have it in life to do something really worthwhile, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the new moon in Libra, wherever you have Libra house, so new beginnings, is going to be on the 25th, which is tomorrow, and on the 26th of September. So to see where you have that placements in your chart. And again, it's astro-seek.com. I think that's where you can pull up your free chart or just look at the free natal chart on the internet. Solar eclipse, so the new beginnings, but something will have to end in order for things to begin at 2 degrees of Scorpio on the 25th of October. So just
Mm-hmm.
pay attention what's happening, especially if you have between 0 and 7 degrees in fixed signs, which is Leo and Scorpio, Taurus and Aquarius. Just pay attention to those areas of your life to see what's coming up, what's shaking there.
So new beginnings, that means with the new beginnings comes the endings too. So just,
well, you can have, yes, you can have a beginning without
yes,
something ending, right? Otherwise,
right.
what is it? The physics, the two bodies cannot occupy the same space. Doesn't work like that. Something will have to go, but usually they're fresh starts in general. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, there may be some different events for everybody, depending on their personal placements and charts. So you have to kind of be mindful and know your own chart to know how it's going to impact you. But in general, it's a new beginnings for that.
Okay.
But yeah, the endings is a part of it.
Yes.
Yeah, and Saturn is going to go direct on the 23rd of October. So that's going to be 18 degrees of Aquarius. So where do you have that area is going to start moving a little bit forward. So for example, if you have it in your second house
So
of
things have been wherever it's been like, so you might have been feeling it slow. And
it's
when it goes,
stuck, right?
is that right? Or am I getting that backwards?
So when Saturn went retrograde, to me, retrograde planets are more introspective. So it's almost like, okay, you make a decision and they're like, let me think about that decision. Is it something I want to go forward with, right?
Okay.
And once the planets start going forward, you're likely to say, okay, I know how to proceed now. I have a better idea.
Okay.
Because the area is no longer, I would say like more of a stale. It's no longer stale. It's actually going to move forward.
You almost feel like a fog lifting.
Yes, fog lifting. That's right. It's I would say like, yeah, it's similar to that. So yeah, we're moving forward. And we're no longer sitting at the station and waiting for the train to arrive. We're now the train is there. The conductor checked all the tickets. Now we're moving forward. The ticket's been checked, right? So that's what I would say. You're checking your tickets while it's in retrograde, but then you're moving forward.
Okay.
Pluto goes direct on the 8th of October, and it's 26 degrees of Capricorn. So be mindful whatever you have going on 26, 27, 28, 29 degrees. Those may be these planets or the aspects that you may start feeling a little bit more, especially the house where it is located, where you have Capricorn. On the 12th of October, we're going to have Venus opposition Jupiter. So that's going to be a little bit of a lighter day, I would say. And the 14th of October, we have Venus trine Saturn. So that would be more of a stability of, existing relationships, or maybe like a more concrete plan of moving creatively forward. And again, it depends, again, which houses you have those placements in. So if Venus is in Libra and Saturn is in Aquarius, where do you have Aquarius and Libra in your chart? So once you see your chart, this will be easier to kind of start thinking what's happening. And I will be curious how people experience this, because I know sometimes it's very light. Like some energy may be feeling a little bit lighter, but if you have planets in your chart, I'm curious how it comes out for everybody. Like for example, if someone, I know someone who took a whole lot of medical tests during Mercury retrograde, and they ended up having false like negatives and both positive. So they ended up going for the second round right after the
Oh, are you serious? Yes.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So yeah, that was like, it was a freak out session for this person. But at the same time, it's like, what did you learn? I'm like, yeah, it's your 6th house of health. You're going for the doctor's appointment. You're taking all those tests that freak you out. What is the final result? I have to do it again, right? And now they have a better result. So
that's typical Mercury. Yes.
That would be something with Mercury, right? Or, so just, I'm curious because everybody experiences it differently. And I don't know if you have people like commenting on a blog or on a YouTube video, but I'll be curious to see how everybody's experiencing certain things, because it's just, to me, it's interesting. How does it manifest? How does it come out? How can we make it better?
Yeah, especially that the Uranus and Saturn squared, because I've been hearing about that too. Like I'm still trying to completely wrap my head around that for me personally. So how would that show up? And you got the planet of stability and then the rebel planet coming together. So does it just create like this feeling of
Tension.
stalemate, like a, huh? Like
It's a
a,
tension.
yes. But like, where does that tension take you? I guess is where, and I guess that's the point, right? It's like, where's that tension going to take you?
Yes. So some people could quit their jobs if it doesn't work for them. I know
Mm-hmm.
it from personal experience. Someone could be, if it's their relationship area, they may end up just leaving the relationship and saying, hey, it doesn't work for me
Mm-hmm.
anymore. It doesn't work with who I
Mm-hmm.
am. Looking myself going forward, it's not what I want to do, right? If it's, for
Mm-hmm.
example, in the area of health and your view on life, somebody says, you know what? The way I've been doing things doesn't work for me anymore. I have a different perspective on things. I'm just going to completely redo my diet, my exercise routine, how I approach things in
Mm-hmm.
life. Maybe like go on a meditation retreat or something that will serve me better going forward, as opposed to where I'm at right now, because this cannot continue anymore. So what creative
Mm-hmm.
thoughts do I have? Right. And again, sometimes when we have our back against the wall, that's where we start creatively thinking and coming up with the better solutions than when we're
Yes.
so content and comfortable that we can't even be
Yes.
bothered to change the way our life goes, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I do understand that. It's like that tension that suddenly comes about. It's uncomfortable enough for you to start making those bigger decisions
Yeah,
about uh yeah, the things that you've been thinking about anyways, probably. But now
most
it's
likely.
it's like almost at an impasse where it's time,
Yeah, that's
basically.
exactly what it is. It's time to make a change, right? To find
Yes.
something that serves you a little bit better. And I think this
Mm-hmm.
is the premises of the entire chart. It's like looking at the events and figuring out, how do I take advantage of my Venus, right? How do I take advantage of my Jupiter? If you have a Jupiter in your chart in your seventh house of relationships, which is the area where Jupiter can give you a little bit of luck, and it's an opportunity for growth. And in general, it's a lucky area for you. So if you have struggles somewhere in the other area of life, then look at the Jupiter and say, which relationships can I pull on, right, to support me through this difficult time? Or who in my network is able to know the answers to this particular problem, so I can reach out to them and work with them, or maybe even connect with another person. So you have to maybe understand your chart a little bit better. So pay attention where you have Jupiter. Those are good houses, not where it's placed, but also where you have Pisces and Sagittarius, because those are the two houses where under Jupiter
Jupiter
rulership.
rules.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you have Venus, that's like the sweet aspect, right? So if you have Venus, let's just say in your 11th house of organizations, relationships, and let's just say, it's could be in sign different than Libra or Taurus. So that's a good house for you to kind of lean on, and as well as where you have Taurus and Libra falling in your chart. So those would be three areas of life where you can take
Yeah, and
advantage
I
of
think
when.
that's a good point too when you're first learning about astrology. So when you're looking at what Jupiter's doing, you also want to see what their the ruling signs are. So whatever Jupiter's doing, then also what, like you said, where Pisces and Sagittarius is as well,
Yes,
because Jupiter rules Pisces and Sagittarius. And
yes,
then what
traditionally.
Venus is doing is not just like Venus's placement in the house, but then you also want to look at your
Mhm.
Taurus and Libra, because
Yes,
Taurus and Libra are influenced by their Venus's signs, right? So it's like
yes,
when you're looking at your chart, you like at a planet, you also want to see what their signs are as well, to get a fuller picture of how that planet is really influencing you altogether.
that's right. And just to clarify, I know somewhere it would, well, in a lot of places it would say that Neptune rules Pisces. So Neptune is a modern ruler of the Pisces. So just to clarify
Mhm.
that. And Saturn traditionally rules Capricorn and Aquarius, and
Mhm.
and Uranus is going to be a modern ruler of Aquarius. And a Pluto is a modern ruler of Scorpio, which is traditionally ruled by Mars. So just to keep it in
Mhm.
mind. So I know sometimes people see two different things. So just to clarify, the reason for that, it's modern approach versus traditional approach where the planets were assigned rulerships a little bit differently.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for that little recap. It was definitely helpful for me to try to understand how to look at these oppositions and how, I mean, like I said, the Mercury retrograde, of course, that one I understood more, but like the Saturn and Uranus square and what that's really trying to do for you. And looking at it from that point of view instead of just looking at it from, oh my gosh, it's just disaster.
Yes,
But
it's
it's
not.
it's more than that, right? Yeah.
It's worth it, right? Nothing great
Hmm.
is born in life unless you put effort in it and some friction. So
Yeah, and
I
even
would,
and then how that could even feed into, and then this is just me thinking about it with everything that you said, and then how that can even feed into the solar eclipse that's coming up, which is about new beginnings.
yes,
So, it's like how this is leading you up to the new beginnings.
yes. So just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd say that, look at the whole sky picture rather than just focusing on one area, because sometimes when we look at one area, it gets a little bit more of challenging because we start focusing on the negative things. When you look at the
Yes.
big picture, it's almost like you have to see the whole puzzle, right? The picture of the puzzle instead of just one jigsaw piece, because then you cannot really tell what it is even. But when you look at the whole
Mm-hmm.
picture, like, okay, that makes sense. I will work on my relationships. Maybe someone has Scorpio on the sixth house, and they're like, okay, I have a solar eclipse there. It has to do with my maybe health and routine. How do I change it? I have to let go of the junk food so I can move on with the healthier habits. And it's a good
Mm-hmm.
time to do that.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you so much, Olga.
Thank you. I hope it was helpful. I know it's a lot, and sometimes when you're kind of getting all this information, it's almost like drinking out of the fire hose, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just the more you get comfortable with your chart, the more things start clicking in. So I would suggest that anybody who is interested in astrology and they tend to follow the forecast, get familiar with your chart, see where your planets are, and start from there and just see what houses it's impacting and how it's how it could be helpful in your life to move forward.
Thank you so much for watching. Big love and magic to you as always.